What's up everybody? Welcome to a brand new movie review. My name is Jason and today we are talking about Ip Man 4, the finale. So as the title of this film suggests, this is the fourth and final installment of the Ip Man franchise. Donnie Yen, of course, once again returns to play the title role of Ip Man. And in this film, Ip Man finds himself in California looking for a new school for his son, and while he's there, ends up in the middle of two conflicts. The first one is with the local Chinese Kung Fu masters of California who've argued that Bruce Lee, Ip Man's star pupil, has been causing trouble in America. And the second is with the United States Marine Corps, of all people, for their refusal to accept Chinese Kung Fu as a legitimate combat practice. Now, I've been a huge fan of Donnie Yen for years, and obviously I've followed this franchise all the way to the end of the fourth and final movie, so I think I can say with all authority that this movie was a huge disappointment. Let's start with the biggest thing that was holding this film back in my opinion, which was plot. This movie has so much plot, like plot to spare. It's ridiculous. If you thought the summary of this movie was long-winded, it's because it was. I mean, in this film, Donnie Yen just runs into problem after problem. It starts off, his kid gets kicked out of school, so Donnie Yen has to find him a new school in America, in California specifically. Then when he gets to California, he realizes he can't enroll his kid because he needs a recommendation letter from this Chinese Benevolent Association, which is run by the Chinese martial artists that I was talking about earlier in the summary. Then those Chinese martial artists don't want to give him a recommendation because his student Bruce Lee has been causing trouble in America. And then one of Bruce Lee's students wants to introduce Chinese Kung Fu to his Marine Corps like staff sergeant who is like gung-ho about karate as, as their form of combat. All that is going on like at the same time. And the worst part is that those two main plot lines I was talking about, one with the Chinese Benevolent Association, which won't give him a recommendation letter for his school, and then one with the Marine Corps, it's just, they go on for, I would say, an hour before it actually starts to intersect and become like one cohesive narrative. And the problem with that is that the movie is like an hour 45 minutes long, hour 50 tops. And on top of that, this is like a Chinese Kung Fu action film, so they're trying to squeeze fight scenes into all of this. Which leads me to the other issue I had with this film, which was, unfortunately, the action scenes themselves. Unfortunately, I just felt like they weren't up to par with the fight scenes from the previous entries into this franchise. Like the fight scenes from Ip Man 1 and 2 especially, every once in a while I'll find myself on YouTube looking them up specifically just so I can rewatch them. But I don't think I'll end up doing that with this movie. There's something a little lacking in them. I'm not sure exactly what, but for some reason they didn't capture my attention and get me excited the same way that the other fight scenes in previous entries did. And then the last thing that really kind of bugged me about this film was the new characters that are added. They're not even one-dimensional. They're just kind of like caricatures of other like villains in movies. In one fight scene that Bruce Lee has, the character he's supposed to go up against, this villain, literally just stands in an alley under one of those like old style lights and just goes, like, it's like no dialogue or anything. He just gestures him over. They pretty much do that with all the villains in this film, but it hits harder for some reason with kind of the main baddie in this movie, who's played by Scott Adkins. Honestly, don't remember the name of the character, but Scott Adkins, who is a fantastic martial artist, by the way, have a lot of respect for him. Him and Michael J. White, I think two very underrated, legitimate martial artists working in Hollywood right now. But besides the point, basically Scott Adkins is supposed to be this like super racist, super like just a bigot in this film, and he's immediately like, no, you can't have that, we use karate, which is very confusing to me because I'm pretty sure karate is Japanese. He's just a big racist caricature and they don't do anything to develop him. He just goes in, says his racist speech, and gets beaten up in the end in this fight. That's it. He collects a paycheck, then he heads out. The only real upside in this film for me was obviously seeing Donnie Yen again play Ip Man. The Wing Chun fighting style is, I think, wholly unique to this film franchise, and it's something that I don't think I'll ever see again for a long time, that specific fighting style, which is a real shame. This whole franchise, I think, has introduced a whole new generation of people to, martial arts films or just martial arts in general. And it's a bit of a bummer for it to have gone out on kind of a sour note for me, but I don't think, obviously, it detracts from the first and second movies, which are by far the better of the four movies. But yeah, like I said, great again to see Donnie Yen as Ip Man, but that's pretty much the only plus that I have for this movie. He carries the whole thing on his back. To watch this movie, I actually ended up buying it on Blu-ray because I didn't know if it was coming out on any sort of streaming platform, but of course, literally 2 days after I opened it and watched it, I saw the announcement that it was coming to Netflix. and I'm not huge into ratings whether it comes to albums or movies, but I will say for this film, I should have waited for it on Netflix. Anyways, that's it for this review. If you guys enjoyed it, please like and subscribe below. It really helps me out. And until then, stay safe, be kind. Thank you.